ever feel like life's a board game.
Yeah.
And some people start with way more property.
Yeah.
Like your zip code could actually predict your income. Kind of crazy, huh?
It's a reality for a lot of people, unfortunately.
Yeah. And it's not a fun one to talk about, but
Right.
if we're serious about breaking free from those limitations. So today we're doing a deep dive into birth privilege and how it can hold some people back.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that the playing field isn't level for everyone, and that's okay. It's not about blame, it's about awareness so you can start taking action.
Okay, so are you saying that where you're born, who your family is, even your race or gender can really affect your chances in life?
It's a huge factor. To give you an example, think about education. Growing up in a wealthy area often means access to better schools, smaller classes, more resources. It's a completely different experience than someone growing up in poverty where schools might be underfunded and opportunities limited.
It's like starting a race, but someone's already 50 yards ahead.
Pretty much. And those advantages or disadvantages can snowball over time, making it even harder to catch up.
But how does this inequality keep going? I mean, haven't we moved past that?
Well, here's the thing. Historical injustices like slavery or systemic racism didn't just vanish, they evolved. They morphed into policies, institutions, and social norms that we still see today.
Okay, I need an example, something I can really grasp.
Take redlining, for example. Banks literally drew red lines on maps around minority neighborhoods and refused to give them loans or mortgages.
Seriously?
Yeah, this prevented generations from building wealth through homeownership, contributing to the racial wealth gap we see now.
Wow. It's like these inequalities are baked into the system.
They are, but recognizing them is the first step. Feeling overwhelmed is understandable, but we can't let it paralyze us.
Right. It's easy to get stuck in that woe is me mentality.
Exactly. The real power comes from asking, what can I do today to change my situation? It's about resourcefulness.
So less complaining, more strategizing.
Exactly. We need a multi-pronged approach. Empower ourselves with knowledge, build networks that open doors, create financial leverage, and find support systems that lift us up.
It's like we need a whole toolkit to break free.
Exactly. And the first tool we'll be looking at is education.
Perfect. Everyone loves a good education. But I'm guessing you're not talking about expensive Ivy League schools.
Not necessarily. Education doesn't have to be confined to traditional institutions. We live in a time where knowledge is everywhere and often for free.
You're talking about online learning, right?
Bingo platforms like Khan Academy or Coursera offer tons of courses on anything you can imagine, from basic literacy to advanced computer science, often for free or a fraction of the cost of traditional education.
You know, I actually took a coding class on Coursera a few years back, learned a ton, and even started freelancing on the side. Completely changed things for me.
See? There you go.
Yeah.
That's the power of these resources. They can open up possibilities you might not have even considered.
So it's about taking charge of our own learning, finding resources that fit our goals, and building skills that give us an edge.
Exactly. And it's not just about formal learning either. Reading books, listening to podcasts, attending workshops, these are all great ways to keep growing and expanding your horizons.
It's about becoming a lifelong learner.
Exactly. Always be curious. Always be learning. And remember, you don't have to do it alone.
You're talking about networking, right?
Yes. Connecting with others can open doors you never knew existed.
I gotta admit, networking sometimes feels a little awkward, like those forced conversations at stuffy events.
Networking doesn't have to be like that. It's really just about building genuine relationships with people who share your interests or who might have valuable insights or connections.
So where do you find these people? Is it all about who you know? What if you're starting from scratch?
Look around you. Your current network, friends, family, former colleagues, even that friendly barista you chat with, they could all lead to something valuable.
Okay, so it's about seeing the potential in everyday interaction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But to expand further, try volunteering, join online communities, or go to events related to your interests.
Volunteering. That's a good one. I met my business partner while volunteering at an animal shelter. We bonded over dogs and ended up starting a pet sitting business.
See, networking magic. It happens when you put yourself out there. And don't forget about online platforms like LinkedIn. They make it easier than ever to connect professionally.
So we've got education, we're building networks, but let's face it, money matters. How do we get a financial edge when we're struggling to make ends meet?
That's where the side hustle comes in, baby. Your main job keeps the lights on. But a side hustle, that's how you build your empire, one brick at a time.
Okay, I'm loving the analogy. But where do we even begin with a side hustle?
It starts with a little soul searching. What are you good at? What do you enjoy doing, even if it seems silly or small? Often those things hold the most potential.
For me, it's baking. I make these killer chocolate chip cookies. Everyone loves them. But is that really a side hustle?
Absolutely. I knew someone who turned their amazing salsa recipe into a local business. They sold at farmers markets online, even got it into some fancy stores. You'd be surprised what people will pay for.
So passion meets profit potential. I get it. But how do you go from baking in your kitchen to actually making money?
Think strategically. Who would love your cookies the most? Busy moms, college students, office workers craving a treat. Figure out your ideal customer.
Okay, knowing your audience. Makes sense. But how do you reach them?
Where do they spend their time online? In specific neighborhoods. At certain events, social media can be a game changer. Even just posting beautiful photos of your cookies can get people drooling.
But isn't social media super competitive? How do you stand out from all the other cookie photos?
That's where your unique story comes in. What makes your cookies special? Are they grandma's secret recipe made with local ingredients? Perfect for gifting. People connect with the story as much as the product.
So it's about marketing, but also being genuine. I like that. But what about people who aren't selling something physical?
Same principles apply. Let's say you're great at organizing. People always need that. Offer virtual decluttering sessions, create killer checklists people can buy online, teach time management workshops. The possibilities are endless.
You know, I could use some help with organization. My desk is a disaster.
See, there's a market for everything. And when it comes to pricing your services or products, do your research. Check out what others are charging. Consider your time and costs. Don't be afraid to experiment a bit.
This feels different than just getting a second job. It's more like building something of your own.
Exactly. Side hustles give you control over your time, your income, and ultimately your future. Even if it starts small, it's a step towards independence.
Okay, this is inspiring. But my bank account is reminding me about budgeting. We got to talk about that.
Ah, budgeting. The word that makes everyone cringe. But it's not about deprivation. It's about giving your money a purpose, turning it from a leaky faucet into a powerful stream flowing towards your goals.
That's a much better image than my usual money disappearing into a black hole feeling. But how do you even start budgeting? I'm not exactly a spreadsheet whiz.
Keep it simple. Grab a notebook, an app, whatever works for you. Track every dollar for a month. No judgment. You need to see where the leaks are before you can plug them.
This is where I have to face my latte addiction, isn't it?
Maybe. But it's not always about cutting out the fun stuff. It's about conscious choices. Could you make coffee at home a few times a week instead of buying it every day? Small changes add up.
So awareness is step one. But how do we create a budget that we'll actually stick to?
Give every dollar a job. Think of it like this. Rent and bills are your essential workers. Groceries keep you fueled. Savings is your future CEO, and fun money is your well-deserved vacation.
Love these analogies. It's about allocating resources strategically, not just spending randomly till there's nothing left.
You got it. And remember, your budget isn't set in stone. It needs to change as your income and goals change. Be flexible, experiment,
Right.
find what works for you.
This is empowering. It's like I'm in control of my finances instead of the other way around.
Exactly. Budgeting isn't punishment, it's freedom. When you know where your money is going, you can make it work for you.
We've tackled side hustles. We've tamed the budgeting beast. What's next in our journey of breaking free?
In part 2, we're going deep into the mental game, mindset, and resilience. Because this journey isn't always easy. We need the mental strength to weather the storms and come out stronger.
Sounds like we've got some inner work ahead of us. Can't wait to dive in.
Welcome back to the deep dive, picking up where we left off. Remember how we talked about that birth privilege thing?
Yeah, like some folks are starting the race a lap ahead.
Exactly. And we're all about giving you the tools to catch up. Last time we talked about education being like a secret weapon. Not the expensive kind, but the knowledge is power kind. You can find that anywhere these days.
Totally. And we got fired up about networking. Ditching those awkward business card moments for real connections.
Real connections that can change your life. Now, let's get real for a sec. A lot of us are barely making ends meet. How do you even think about leveling up when you're worried about paying rent?
That's the million-dollar question.
That's where side hustles become your best friend. Think of it this way. Your main job, it's keeping the lights on, but your side hustle. That's how you build your own empire, one brick at a time.
Love that. But side hustles, it's still a little scary. Where do we even begin?
It all starts with a little you time. Really looking inwards. What are you good at? What lights you up? Even if it's something small or maybe seems a little silly, often that's where the magic is.
Okay, for me, it's baking.
Hmm.
I make mean chocolate chip cookie. People go crazy for them. But is that really a side hustle?
Absolutely. I knew someone who turned their killer salsa recipe into a full-blown business. Farmers markets, online orders, even got it into some gourmet shops. You'd be surprised what people are willing to pay for.
So it's about turning that passion into profit.
Bingo! But there's got to be some strategy involved. Who would love your cookies the most? Think about it. Busy moms, college students, office workers craving a treat. You gotta know your customer.
Makes sense, knowing your audience. But how do you reach them?
Think about where they hang out. Online, certain neighborhoods, events, social media. It can be a game changer. Even just posting some amazing photos of your cookies. That's enough to get people interested.
Okay, but social media, everyone's doing it. How do you stand out from all the other cookie pictures?
That's where your unique story comes in. What makes your cookies special? Is it grandma's secret recipe made with local organic ingredients? Perfect for gifting. You gotta sell the story as much as the product.
Marketing, but authentic. I like that. But what about those of us who aren't selling something you can actually touch?
Doesn't matter. The principles are the same. Let's say you're an organization whiz. People need that. Offer virtual decluttering sessions. Create killer checklists people can buy online. Host time management workshops. You're only limited by your imagination.
Ooh, I know someone who could really use that. My desk is a disaster zone.
See, there's a need for everything. Now, when it comes to pricing, do your research. Look at what others are charging. Think about your time and costs, and don't be afraid to experiment. You can always tweak as you go.
This feels different than just picking up a second job. It's like building something you own.
You got it.
Yeah.
Side hustles give you control over your time, your income, and at the end of the day, your future. Even if you start small, it's a step toward calling your own shots.
Okay, I'm feeling inspired, but my bank account is screaming budget, budget, budget. We got to talk about that.
Budgeting. The B word. It makes everyone cringe. But listen, it's not about cutting out all the fun. It's about being intentional with your money. Turning it from a leaky faucet into a powerful stream flowing towards your goals.
Okay, that's way better than my usual money disappearing into a black hole situation. But how do you even start? I'm no spreadsheet master.
Start simple notebook, an app, whatever works. Track every dollar for a month. Just observe, no judgment. You got to see where the leaks are before you can plug them.
Time to face my latte addiction, huh?
Maybe. But it's not always about going cold turkey. It's about making conscious choices. Can you make coffee at home a few times a week instead of buying it every day?
Yeah.
Those little changes add up.
So awareness is step one. Got it. But how do you actually create a budget that you'll actually stick to?
Give every dollar a job. Think of it like this. Rent and bills. Those are your essential workers. Groceries, they keep you fueled. Savings, that's your future CEO. And fun money, that's your well-deserved vacation.
Okay, I'm loving these analogies. So it's about allocating resources strategically, not just spending till you're broke.
Exactly. And remember, this budget thing, it's not written in stone. It changes with your income and your goals. Be flexible. Experiment. Find what works for you.
I'm actually feeling kind of powerful. It's like I'm in charge of my finances instead of the other way around.
That's what we want. Budgeting, it's not about punishment. It's freedom. When you know where your money's going, you can make it work harder for you.
Okay, so we've conquered side hustles. We've tamed that budgeting beast. What's next on our breaking free agenda?
In part 3, we're tackling the mental game, mindset, and resilience. Because let's be honest, this journey isn't always a walk in the park. We gotta have the mental toughness to weather the storms and come out stronger.
Sounds like we've got some serious inner work to do. Can't wait. We're back for the final part of our breaking free deep dive. You know, we've covered a lot of ground, right?
We've education, networking, side hustles. We even took on that budgeting monster.
Yeah, feeling pretty empowered over here. But I think we need to talk about the mental game.
You're right. We've given you the tools. But tools are only as good as the person using them. So today, it's all about mindset and resilience. The mental strength you need to not just make this journey happen, but to keep it going.
Okay, mindset, we've touched on it before. But I think we need that pep talk. Like, what are the mental shifts we got to make to go from feeling stuck to unstoppable?
First thing, ditch that fixed mindset. That idea that you're born with a certain amount of talent or smarts. It's just not true. You got to embrace the growth mindset. Believe that you can learn and adapt and grow through hard work and experience.
So instead of saying, oh, I'm terrible at math, it's more like, I haven't mastered math yet, but I'm willing to learn.
Now you're getting it. It's about seeing those challenges as opportunities to learn, not as roadblocks. And that leads to the next big thing. Building self-efficacy.
Self what now?
Self-efficacy. It's basically believing in your own ability to reach your goals. When you have that belief, you're more likely to take action to keep pushing through those tough times and to actually achieve what you set out to do.
So it's not just hoping things will change. It's about knowing deep down that you can change them.
You got it. And that belief, It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you believe in yourself, the more you achieve, and the stronger that belief gets. It's a beautiful cycle.
Okay, I'm feeling pumped up already. But let's be realistic. There will be bumps in the road.
Yeah.
How do we bounce back from those inevitable setbacks? What's the secret to resilience?
Think of resilience as a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. One of the best ways to build it up is to learn to reframe those negative thoughts.
You mean that voice in my head that's always saying, you're not good enough, or this is never going to work?
That's the one. When those thoughts pop up, you got to challenge them. Ask yourself, is this really true? Is this helpful? Most of the time, those negative thoughts, they're just fear pretending to be facts.
So we got to become aware of that inner critic and choose to focus on the positive instead.
You got it. And don't forget about self-care, resilience. It takes energy. You got to take care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally.
Okay, self-care, I know it's important, but sometimes it feels like just another thing on my never-ending to-do list. What are some easy ways to actually make it happen?
Keep it simple. Get enough sleep, eat good food, move your body, spend time in nature. Even 5 minutes of meditation can make a difference.
You know what I find really helps? Just taking a walk in the park on my lunch break. It's like a reset button for my brain.
There you go. It's about finding what works for you and making it a non-negotiable part of your routine. And remember, taking care of yourself. It's not selfish. It's essential.
You know what else I'm realizing? Community. It plays a huge role in building that resilience. When you have people who believe in you, it's easier to get back up after a fall.
You're so right. Surround yourself with a supportive network, friends, family, mentors, even online communities. It makes all the difference. They give you encouragement, accountability, a safe space to celebrate those wins and to navigate the tough stuff.
It's like having your own personal cheerleading squad.
Exactly. And don't forget to celebrate those wins, no matter how small. Acknowledging your progress keeps you motivated and keeps that belief in yourself strong.
Wow, this deep dive has been incredible. We started feeling kind of trapped by circumstances, and now I feel like we can write our own story.
That's the power of knowledge in action. Remember, this birth privilege might deal you a certain hand, but it doesn't dictate the whole game. You have the power to choose how you play those cards.
So educate yourself, build your network, create that financial leverage, cultivate resilience, and never ever stop believing in your ability to break free and build a life you love.
That's what we're all about.
And that's a wrap on this episode of The Deep Dive. We hope you've learned a lot and that you're feeling inspired to go out there and make some changes. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep breaking free.